everywhere else. All right, there we go. All right, welcome guys. John Arvosis here, getting set up here for Max Miller to join us with Tasting History. All right. All right, I am back. Let me, all right, get my Substack. There we go. Hey, Substackers. Hey, guys. Hey, Phyllis, Clairstol. So, as I said, today's a little different because I'm streaming somebody on TikTok. So, you're going to get their voice, but that's it. We do that sometimes. It's kind of a pain, but, you know, there's no way around it, really. Or the way around it is kind of complicated. So, you will hear Max, but you will not see, but you will see me. So, all right, I'm going to get started here on TikTok. Hopefully, we will, see Max shortly or now. TikTok. Let's see, is TikTok going to remember that I want to go live with Max? Let's see. Otherwise, I have to go to my... Yes! All right, let's try it. Go live. All right, let's see what happens here. Going live. Excellent. All right, flipping camera. And then I'm going to look for Max in the corner, and we're going to see what happens here. All right. Excellent. There he is. Woo-woo! Oh, my God. This is working. This is working. I'm shocked that this is working.
That's awesome. How's my sound?
Your sound is really good. Your sound sounds really good. Yeah. People, you know, it's funny. I will say what's funny is people who don't know, people were criticizing Max yesterday and saying, your sound is terrible. But that's the kind of...
It's terrible, but I was on the treadmill.
Well, oh, you are the...
You know what's interesting is this thing that's supposed to hold my phone.
Right.
And,
Oh, hilarious.
It doesn't, clearly.
That's funny. I love that. On the treadmill. Yeah, well, no, but you know, but the feedback's good. I'm only going to say this once, and then the mods can deal with it. If I plug in my microphone, I can't hear Max. So I don't have little ear pods. I tried. My ears don't work with those. I've tried them a few times now. I bought different ones, and they like bother my ears. They like hurt my ears. And even when they're off, I mean, the feeling feels like, yeah.
You've tried like the Apple ones?
No, because I'm cheap. I tried a couple different ones. I didn't try Apple.
I've tried a few. The Apple AirPods definitely are
Fuck.
the
Well,
best.
you know,
At least for my ears.
I mean,
My
honestly,
tiny, as my brother says, my hippo-sized ears.
do you have big ears?
No, I have tiny ears.
Oh,
like
hippo, but
I have
hippo's
a
big.
massive head and tiny ears.
Oh, like hippos. That's very fun. I'm thinking hippos have small ears. I'll have to try it. Anyway, so welcome. This is good, though. We got it. I'm shocked we got this to work. Wow.
I'm just trying to figure out how to stabilize my phone. I got this thing.
Huh.
It's like supposed to hold the phone.
Although the phone is...
Clearly not.
Okay, it was not moving up until right now. You just hit it, but otherwise the phone is staying...
Well, that's because I'm holding it.
Oh. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, I got this thing. You know what? I'm going to just like tuck some stuff under here. I'm really going to just jerry rig this whole thing.
Oh, that is too funny. Okay. And I'm hoping folks on YouTube and everywhere else, they can't see you, but at least you can hear Max okay. Yes, I'm hoping with my mic. YouTube and Substack and everybody else. I multi-stream. In the future, we can try multi-streaming, but...
How do you do that? I've never streamed at all, so this is the first time for me.
Well,
I can't imagine multi-streaming.
It's not...
Where
Well,
to start.
it's not fun only because I've got like YouTube, Substack, Discord, and people commenting on all of it, and TikTok, so you're kind of going...
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Oh, God. It can be... Yes.
Tech stuff is just beyond... I can't even figure out how to hold my phone. I mean,
Although you're doing... Is the phone good now, at least?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. I have it,
Okay.
like, held up by a kitchen towel.
All right, actually, I'm gonna. Well, you know. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna turn up my volume a little bit for the folks on YouTube. I don't want it to go, but actually, I can do that because at least for TikTok, it won't be too loud. So, all right. Now we're gonna see how it sounds for YouTube. I'll introduce you and we'll get rolling. So, welcome, guys. We've got Max Miller here. Actually, I was finally looking at your bio. I didn't look at it until a second ago.
Hot cross buns. Wait, I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Somebody says just sent a hot cross bun. What does that mean?
That means they must have done a gift and I missed it. They're able to send gifts that. See, Max has never done this before. You see like the little the thing on my head. People can pay for gifts and they can send them on to me.
Sent a hot cross bun.
Well, they can send it to me or you. So if they send it to you, you get some money. So like, oh, thank you for that. And it like that was
That's
Annie.
so cool.
And yeah, like well, they spend the money TikTok being TikTok takes like 60%, which is annoying. But you get like 40%, which is still something, 40 to 50. It's don't even. But we don't want to upset the masters. See, there you go. And that's actually a very nice. Oh, and let me say, that's actually a very nice gift. Somebody paid a good penny for that gift for you, by the way.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I see.
Yeah.
I am like I'm such a Luddite when it comes to this stuff.
Well, the good thing is Max talks about food history. The good thing is at least you talk about food. I'm sitting here talking about the Russians bombing Ukraine, and then it's like, oh, thank you for the hat with the mustache.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty. When I saw the hot cross bun, I was like, oh, because I was gonna do a video on hot cross.
Oh,
bun
that's
this
funny.
week, but then I ended up canceling it. But I was like, did they know?
I didn't see what
Clearly
the.
not, it's just coincidence.
Well, Max. Okay, well, let me introduce you first. So Max is okay.
Oh, so yeah, sorry.
I would call Max a food historian. His bio said he's not a historian. I don't care. You're a food historian. Max has turned himself over the last 10 years into, I would say, one of the foremost, certainly social media food historians out there. We're basically, and I'm going to do a shitty job explaining this. He can do it better than me. But he is an expert at taking old recipes and recreating them, but taking recipes that you may not even know the recipe and going through history books and seeing what people wrote about the foods, sometimes as early as 4,000 years ago, and recreating it and getting even some of the crazy components, the ingredients that were used that I don't even know what they are. And then, so he does these like 10-minute social media segments, TikTok, YouTube. His big presence is YouTube, but you got a good 500,000 folks on TikTok. And does these 10-minute segments. There's some shorter ones that are 1 minute, where basically walks you through the recipe, walks you through the history, and then does like a little 5-minute history lesson about it, which is fascinating. And it's a lot of fun. And he's got a little bit of a dad sense of humor as well. What was well, I was watching the one yesterday, although it doesn't matter because it could be from years ago.
The mayonnaise?
Yes.
Yeah, so there are definitely some dad jokes in there.
Oh, it's a total, I forgot you were, the Mayo Clinic. Yes.
The Mayo Clinic.
Yes. Oh, is that a new one, the mayonnaise one?
Yeah, it just came
Oh,
out.
it is. Okay, yes. So no, he did one on mayonnaise and was talking about the origin of mayonnaise and the various theories, and it was very interesting, and then gave dad jokes. So yes, so this is Max. I'm very happy to have you on. Like I said, normally we cover the news, a lot of Ukraine war. Lately it's been the Iran war, but this is something I'm really into, and I've been wanting to have more guests, and we thought it would be fun. And enough, at the end of the show, we usually branch out and talk about whatever people want, and half the time it becomes food. so okay, but I'm curious. So like, and I want to get into like specific examples too. But reading your bio, you were not a foodie necessarily, and you sort of fell into this.
Yeah. So I've always enjoyed eating food.
Okay, good.
Don't get me wrong.
Good.
But when it comes to like cooking and baking and really getting into like the ins and outs of food, I entered it basically through food history because I've always been a big history fan. And in 2016, I was at Disney World with my friend Maureen, and we were there for like 5 days, and we were going to go to the parks every day. Well, she got really sick, and so we spent almost the entire vacation in the hotel room.
Right.
And which was fine. I'd been there before. And she entertained me by showing me the Great British Bake Off. And
right.
it was because I love history. I'm a huge Anglophile.
Tell people what it is, by the way. People who don't watch it, what is it?
The Great British Bake Off. So it is a baking competition show from England. But the difference is, so I would always harp on the fact that I didn't like American competition shows because they were always so mean-spirited.
Thank you. Yes. They're mean.
The Great British Bake Off is so not mean-spirited,
Yep.
especially back in the day. It was just the most wholesome, heartwarming show. And they would bake, and each episode back then they would talk about the history of one of the things that they were baking. So that's what got me into it. I was like, ooh, there's a history section. I can learn about the simnel cake or the, hot cross bun.
Right.
And then, not so much now, but back then, you could actually learn how to bake by watching the show. they were much more involved in telling you why things were working, why things weren't working, and then afterward they would have an entire hour called the Master Class, where Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood would teach you how to bake one or two of the things that they had on.
Oh,
there.
I don't know.
So I started watching that.
I don't even know if I remember that. I did. Oh God, okay, all right.
It was definitely something you had to like search for, because this was even before it was on Netflix. It was still only in England, so we had to like
that's why
watch it using a VPN, and it was
right. Okay.
But that just got me into baking, and so I started bringing things into work and being like, "Hey, you want to try this?"
I mean,
19th century recipe.
How did you not get into cooking earlier?
The history of our
yeah.
first.
How did you not get into cooking early? Because like I love to cook, and for me it's desserts. Like I like cooking in general, baking, which is why I also like your show, because you do a lot. I feel like you bake a lot. I mean, meaning it's chemistry, it's science, it's putting different ingredients together, and they turn into something else. Often good, sometimes not. But that's what I love about baking, is because there's a magic to it, really. Whereas making meat, I'm like, okay, you can put something in the oven and it cooks for 30, just don't overcook it. Whereas baking, it turns into something else. But I've always loved that since I was a kid, so I find it fascinating. Somebody who, always have to let the dog in and out a lot because she's old and she runs the show and the house. But it's fascinating to me, somebody who didn't really know that you liked cooking.
Yeah. So I think it's because growing up, the person who did most of the cooking in our house was my dad. And my dad is a fantastic cook. My dad is an absolutely wonderful person.
Right.
Not the most patient teacher.
Oh, funny. Like, what are you doing?
So it was very much get out of the kitchen, Dad's cooking, go elsewhere. So I just never learned.
Oh, funny. And Dad didn't want to teach his boy to cook. God damn it!
No, it wasn't. It was more just get out of the kitchen.
Oh, okay. Right.
He loves cooking and bake. Not so much baking, but he loves cooking and everything. It's
right.
like a very Zen thing for him. So, little kids, the opposite of Zen.
Funny.
So I never really learned, and then in college, the only cooking I did was heating food up, and then I moved to New York, and my kitchen was so small. There was no cooking being done there. So it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles and watched that British Bake Off that I got into it.
Right. Funny. So, let's get into the food stuff. And I've watched a lot of your stuff, although it's so random because basically you're kind of everywhere, although I think it's probably Instagram. Even hard to say. TikTok, but it could be the Facebook, because Facebook has all those shorts too. Although Facebook may be where I'm seeing the...
Facebook is just such a weird place. YouTube is where all of my stuff lives.
That's your big...
And then I just kind of post the shorter stuff also to Instagram and everything. And Instagram is more like my life. It's not just the content. It's more just like, hey, I'm going on a trip. Mostly it's just pictures of my cats.
Well, I did see you were doing your cats. I know. Well, you have to. You were documenting, and I'm gonna guess, was this sort of a food trip you organized to the Middle East? I was watching it, but I don't know if it was Facebook or where. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to Jordan and Egypt on like a 2.5-week trip, and it was with fans of the channel. So I'm selling these cruises, essentially. They're river cruises. Not in Jordan. It wasn't a cruise. We stayed in a hotel, obviously. Right. But so we're doing all these different cruises. I got a few more coming up, and they are like food and culture centric. It is a learning experience. It is not a vacation by any stretch of the imagination. It's kind of exhausting. But yeah, it's just 7 to 15 days of learning and experiencing the world through food. We have like cooking classes and stuff like that. But I kind of knew, or I thought I knew what to expect in Egypt, simply because I've known lots of people who have gone there, and I've studied Egypt and everything. But Jordan I had no idea what to expect in Jordan. I really had no expectations. Right. And it just blew me away.
I've never been, but Petra, you guys went to Petra. Petra is apparently obviously stunning from what I've seen.
Yeah. So that's one of those places where it's like images can't even convey what's actually happening.
Right.
Because it's not just, you see the picture of the main building, the treasury,
Right.
like in Indiana Jones, but it's actually getting there that is the most interesting part of the journey. You're going through this canyon that you have to walk down, and the history along this canyon, the Bedouins, and then the Romans. And I mean, it's just like...
Yes. There was a whole water... The people, because there was another community nearby that they all got wiped out, but one of the communities nearby, possibly the people from Petra, they were the people who discovered, because they had aqueducts or whatever, they were the people who discovered that the optimal angle for an aqueduct was basically like 6.5%. And this is the angle where basically when you pour water out of a jug, if you go too far, it goes glug, 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 right? If you don't go far enough, it pours. But you know how you try to get it just fast enough? They discovered what that angle was, and the aqueduct is literally the correct angle. I watched, like, what you call it, PBS, about it. But very cool. Yeah, but anyway, I've always wanted to go. Yeah. So I was quite jealous. It looked very cool. Come here, you. Come here.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance, I mean, now is not the greatest time, unfortunately, but
yes, sorry, we've got...
hopefully soon.
She's whining, so we're saying hi.
It's amazing. It's worth it.
She was getting kind of whiny. She's 16 and getting a little old, yeah. So she takes up more of the show lately because she's very needy and gets upset. So I'm picking her up just to give her a quick... She hates being picked up, but at least a little attention might help.
Fair enough.
Anyway, but
what's her name?
Sasha. And very sweet, but she's half terrier, so she's kind of a bitch too, because she's a terrier.
Oh,
they're less like,
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, cats too, though. Cats are sometimes they're pushovers, but a lot of times cats are. Yeah, she's got a little of the cat in her too. Like she runs the show. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin on the food stuff. Some of the things I even had mentioned to you. This is also why they tell you not to have like long conversations with people you interview, because you talk about the fun stuff and then you think you've talked about it. Basically, when you talk offline. Because I was going to say, like, a couple people even mentioned to me, we have a friend in common, Gabe, and he had mentioned to me he wants to try to make the garum. And somebody, when I mentioned you were coming, said, "Oh God, garum!" And all I remembered was it took a long time and was really gross. It could have been 3 months or it could have been 3 years, or well, maybe this Asian thing was 3 years. I'm trying to remember which one was which.
Yeah.
Which one took? So tell us about garum. So, I mean, like, tell people about this.
It took about 3 months. So garum is a fermented fish sauce from ancient Rome, ancient Greece as well. It's very similar to the modern fermented fish sauces of the Far East, like patis and is it nokmam?
What about the Italian? I've got the Italian, the colita di, I'm forgetting what it's called, the fish essence.
Colatura di alici.
Si, yeah.
Yeah, so
is it a similar...
the descendant of garum.
Oh, interesting.
And
okay, funny.
It hasn't changed that much.
Huh.
You just all you technically have to do is have fish, entire fish. You don't even take out the guts.
Right.
Fish and salt, and that's it.
This is like the SNL episode. You may be too young. Actually, you may be too young. Do you remember the SNL episode with Dan Aykroyd? And it was the Fish-O-Matic. And they were taking whole fish in for anybody who's seen a whole fish in a blender, and the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. But pretty much that's what Max made. And then just to make it grosser, what do? You let it sit for 3 months in your kitchen.
No, not in your kitchen. In the sun. Outside.
Oh, what is it? Was it open or closed, or would it explode if it was closed?
So you can't close it because. For a few different reasons. Yes, it does build up gas. 2, botulism.
I was going to say it'll kill you. Yeah.
State. However, the amount of salt that is being used, in theory, should make it so botulism can't grow.
Okay.
The thing is figuring out exactly what that is, and the ancient Romans actually knew what that percentage needed to be. But it's like, okay, am I relying on that? But yes, so.
Oh, Max Miller's in the emergency room again. Okay, I can see that Max guy is back. The emergency room people. What do you eat this time? Oh,
killing himself. No animals even paid attention to it.
Oh,
it was
God.
It was pretty like
Did it smell?
essentially rotting fish. It's not technically rotting,
Right.
but it smells like it, and it's digesting itself is what it's doing. But the amount of salt, no bugs, nothing.
Oh,
nothing's
funny.
gonna go there.
Funny. And now, what do you
'Cause they
what do
have
you use
salt.
it for? I mean, how do they eat it? Is it a sauce or?
So, yeah, so usually it is mixed with other things to make a sauce or to add flavor. So just like a modern fish sauce in Asian cooking,
Right.
few people are just
Okay.
drinking it.
Okay.
It is said that happened, but more as kind of a medicine remedy for certain things.
Right.
But usually it was used in cooking as part of a sauce, added with wine and different sweeteners, or actually like in a basting or something like that.
Right.
Added to eggs, and it just kind of adds this salty umami
Right.
thing. You know, think of how soy sauce is used in cooking. It's
Right.
the same idea.
Right. And umami is kind of I would almost call it a dark flavoring. It's like heavy and dark. Soy sauce, because soy sauce, most people are familiar with soy sauce, is the best way to maybe compare it to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it is definitely an acquired taste, and a little goes a long way.
Right.
But the Romans loved it. In all of the recipes that we have, or most of the recipes that we have, and granted, most of them are from one source, so there could be some bias, but most of them do include garum, or rather liquamen, which is the liquid that forms on top, and then the amount of garum
Right.
that we know was being sold,
Right.
and that we know was being produced was just astronomical.
Huh.
They just love this stuff.
Now, what? Okay, what was so? Would it have been? Well, I was going to say, what's the grossest thing you've made? Although it would A, depend on grossest making it, and B, grossest eating it. But even
Yeah,
grossest
those are
eating
two
it depends, because it
different
could be a
things.
gross
I would say
flavor.
grossest making it was probably be the garum.
Would be okay. And what ended up being your worst recipe?
So it kind of changes. One of my least favorites was also an ancient Roman dish. It was essentially a frittata with jellyfish in it.
Oh, okay.
It was not good, and it's because I don't like the texture, and I'm really big on texture.
Was it
Like,
cooked
that
at least?
will ruin a meal for me. It is cooked,
But is it
it's
still-
I mean, it's very like you kind of bite into it, and then it disintegrates into water.
Oh.
It's just kind of
Oh.
odd. Like I don't
Yeah.
like boba. It's the same kind of
That's
idea.
weird. Yeah. Yeah.
Another one was I ate leather. Literally just a piece of leather.
'cause that was the-
It had been boiled, but I was doing a video on all of the times through history that people have had to
Oh, yeah.
eat leather
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah.
You know, on different expeditions and everything where they run out of food. And
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this. So I got some untreated
Oh.
leather and boiled it
Huh.
for a number of hours and tried it. It has no flavor.
Right.
But again, it's the texture.
Does it fall? Can you actually
my favorite.
eat it? Does it fall apart, so to speak?
It like chewing on leather.
Oh.
It takes forever. You have to take tiny
little
bites if you
bits.
wanna swallow
Oh my
it. It
God.
doesn't-
Yeah.
You're not going to break
Wow.
it down with your teeth.
Wow.
You gotta wait till it gets to the stomach acid.
Oh, that's fascinating. So it's not even something like you could do a slow cooker for that bad cut of meat.
Yeah, no, it is not like a bad cut of meat. It truly is like
Oh, well, like leather.
it's just
Yeah.
not gonna go anywhere.
And the best thing. Now, I did at Thanksgiving. I almost brought it to Thanksgiving, but I wasn't going to risk it. Although it ended up being good. I did make. Max had could have been this Thanksgiving or maybe a previous one. The sort of old pumpkin cheesecake thing. That was. I will say though,
Yes.
the recipe was like to feed the Russian army practically. I cut it in half, and it was way too big, and I was like, what was this?
Still huge.
Insane, but it was quite good. The amount of cinnamon was off the charts, and it's funny because sometimes I see you talk about your recipes, and again, Max gets the original recipes, and a lot of times the spices are insane, and it was an insane quantity of cinnamon. It was good, but it burned a little, and it was still where I think where I would not have put as much, but it was like a pumpkin cheesecake basically, and it was 400 years old or something. I don't even know what the, or 1600 maybe. When was it?
From 1570.
Okay, there you go.
1570. It's Bartolomeo Scapi's recipe. He was the cook to several popes at the time.
Right.
And his recipes are, it's kind of the first time that you see in recipes exact quantities of spices.
Interesting.
Before that, you see recipes using a lot of spices in European cooking, especially for the wealthy. His were the first recipes where across the board you get the exact amount, so you can really see just how spiced they wanted their food. Now, what's hard to know is the potency, because spices had to travel so far.
Well, so, I mean,
they were probably 6 to 9 months old.
Well, there was some spice too. I'm trying to think what you had. Some spice I was watching, and again, I say recent, but the problem is, online everything exists forever. But you were talking about. Oh no! You know what it was? It was a It was almost something peppery. I want to say because I don't like peppers. I don't like pepper. I don't like picante. And whatever you were talking about, the older version was actually very interesting. God, what was it? It was. Oh shit. God, I was watching this recently. I can't remember now. But you even had me curious about it because you were saying how it's really quite good. It was almost like a peppercorn, but it was like an old one, and it tasted not as hot.
Long pepper.
That was it actually. And it wasn't as hot necessarily, or something.
Long pepper. Yeah, I mean it does have heat, but I find long pepper to have a little bit more of a fragrant. It's a little more. It can be floral almost.
Right.
That's not quite the right word, but it's more fragrant than the just black peppercorns.
Right.
It's in the same family. You've got those. You've got grains of paradise, which are more hot, and then pink pepper, green pepper. You've got all these different types.
Right.
And the long pepper, I have some around here. It looks like a little pine cone that has been like squished to the side.
And do you grind it, or what was the?
So you have to grind it by hand. That's
Okay.
the thing with it, because it can't go into a pepper grinder or like a pepper mill. You got to do it by hand. But it grinds really easy. Like 4 or 5 grinds, you're good. Yeah,
because I'm not a pepper guy at all, but the way you were describing it in the show, I was like watching, like, okay, that sounds like, at least I'd be curious to try that. Now, what, you got me thinking like Julia Child, and I vaguely remember, because Julia Child had really put, I think this is for everybody else, I mean, Max knows this, but for everybody else to kind of know, but had really not just introduced French cooking to America, but I think even for Americans, she may have been one of the first like really systematized recipes. First of all, she tried them 1,000 times each recipe to make sure they worked, but also got all the quantities down perfectly. And French recipes, for starters, didn't have this, but I think a lot of older American recipes didn't. And you see Max's, or frankly, even like I've got some of my grandmother's old recipes that she wrote out by hand in Greek. And it's crazy things like a handful, or she says a cup. And we know a cup means a teacup, right? An old teacup, the old lady's teacup. And it's really confusing because you're seeing, I was going through this Easter bread recipe she's got, and I was looking at it going, too many questions arose where I went, fuck, does she mean this or does she mean this? And I was afraid to make it just because I thought, I don't want to waste bread and have it go bad. But I see your recipes and it's so, what do you think it was? How in God's name did somebody not think 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago and go, hey, why don't we just like write down how much of it we're putting in?
So the reason is because they weren't writing recipes for us. They were writing recipes for the most part as a reminder to themselves.
Right. But for the staff, you mentioned the staff is, I don't mean to interrupt you, but one of your shows you mentioned them preparing the recipes for the staff who were like illiterate or something as well.
Yeah. So the example I usually use is the form of curry, which was compiled by the master chefs of King Richard II of England in around 1390. There are no quantities for anything. It's missing most of the process. Very often you'll see a recipe that could be a soup or it could be a bread or something. I mean,
Huh.
there's just so little
Right.
information that it really could be a number
Right.
of different things. And we only know what it is usually based on the name. But this person was the master chef who wasn't actually doing the cooking. He had a
Right.
team of cooks, and he would bark out these orders.
Right.
And then there was a scribe elsewhere who would write certain things down. So the person who was writing everything down
that's what
wasn't
it was.
actually doing any of the cooking.
Right.
And then the master chef was not writing these down for anyone else to actually make. He was writing them down more for a reminder to himself, or just kind of a log of the different dishes that he has going on.
Right.
And even later on, you start to see things where the recipe is clearly written for someone else to follow, but that person is, that person has an absolute knowledge of cooking,
Yes.
specifically cooking dishes like this, so you don't need to put in details. The person knows, so why waste the ink?
Somebody had shown me a year ago a friend who's Belarusian American, and she was showing me, I think it was a Belarusian cookbook. Oh my God. Each recipe was literally this big, and they were all too simple. And it reminds me, actually, the other day, somebody asked me for a bread. I was on Facebook on like this Cuisinart toaster oven thing I've got. That's okay, but it annoys me a little because the temperature, you have to figure out the temperature, which drives me a little bonkers for baking. Better than my big oven, but it's annoying. And he asked for my bread recipe. And I was like, all right. And I kind of gave him the recipe. I gave him the ingredients, but I didn't really give him the recipe because, first of all, my recipe is a mess because it's all me. But also, if you make bread, you know how to do it. And if you don't make bread, my instructions won't be good enough. But if you know how to make bread, all I have to give you is the ingredients and you can make it. That almost is what it almost feels like to me. Whereas even that would be a very detailed recipe because I would tell you exactly what, but I wouldn't give you instructions because you know how to make bread. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, and sometimes that's really frustrating coming, several hundred years in the future, because many things have stood the test of time. So we know, we still know how to make certain things or whatever, but some dishes or processes were so omnipresent that they didn't bother writing it down, but now it's gone. So there's no way for us to know what it was because nobody felt the need to really write down in detail.
Give us some examples of what were dishes that were just everywhere. Everybody knew this dish. It was so popular, and now we kind of scratch our heads and say we're not exactly sure how they made it. Or is there such a thing?
Off the top of my head?
I mean, are there dishes like to that degree that we literally just don't know for sure?
Yeah, I mean, like if I was to tell you, and we do, so here are some that we do know simply, but most people wouldn't. So if I was to tell you to make a parade,
no,
you wouldn't know what that was.
No.
It's a type of pepper sauce, but and the word later on would actually become poivre, which means like pepper in French.
Right.
The problem is that at that time, pepper didn't mean pepper. It could mean pepper, but it could also just mean spices in general.
Oh, interesting.
Just like
Okay.
Pfeffernuss, it's a little cookie that they have sometimes around Christmas. There's no pepper in it usually.
That's true.
It's called a pepper nut.
Yeah.
It's not pepper. It's usually cinnamon or nutmeg and other spices. So it's that kind of stuff. It's like
it meant spice.
There's a lot of guesswork.
Yeah. So what's the best? Actually, I got you on the tangent talking about the pumpkin cheesecake. What's the best thing you think you've made that you can think of, or that you can remember?
Oh God! So that's actually one of them. I love that because I really like the amount of spices that he uses. Another one is actually his recipe for ribs.
Oh,
because I love ribs.
Interesting.
I would say.
By the way, what made the recipe so good, though? I mean, was it a matter of like marinating them, or just spices that you rub on them? What was so good about the recipe for the ribs?
It was the sauce that he put on it.
Oh,
it was,
nice.
It's kind of like an early barbecue, but more spices that we wouldn't use in a barbecue sauce today.
Right.
But it has that sweetness.
Right.
It was just really nice. I would actually say that one of my favorite dishes was actually the one of the first recipes written down for chili, like chili con carne.
Right.
And it's unimaginably simple. I can't remember exactly what's in it, but it's like 4 ingredients. It's like you look at it and then you look at a modern chili recipe, and most modern chilies are like all these different spices and all this stuff to create these new flavors, which is fantastic. This one was like super simple. The only spice being used is chili powder, and yet it's so good. Sometimes the simplest things, if it's done right, can be so good. I'm making a video about Welsh rarebit, which is literally, it's cheese on toast. That is the definition.
I don't
of Welsh
remember.
rarebit. It is a piece
I
of
mean, I know
toast.
the name, but I don't. I was trying to think. I was thinking it was meat or something. It's not even meat.
No. And it used to be called Welsh rabbit.
Right.
That's what it was called. But it's interesting because there are all these later recipes that like try to do plays on it and make it more complicated. So I'm actually making one, which is the original written recipe, which is it is literally bread, cheese, melted. You're done. And then this other one that is from 1902, and it's really complex, and it has like 15 ingredients, and it's a sauce that is. But it's like, you don't need to do that. I'm sure it'll be good, but you don't need to do that.
Okay, but doesn't it taste like a grilled cheese sandwich kind of thing, or just an open-faced grilled cheese?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's not grilled, it's toasted, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I like that, but it doesn't sound. But I think of Welsh rarebit as being something they used to serve like at dinner parties or something, or no? The name evokes that for me.
Incredibly popular in the 19th and early 20th century, especially. William Randolph Hearst, who,
Right.
Yeah,
huge.
unbelievable amount of wealth.
Right.
His favorite food was Welsh rarebit.
Oh, that's funny. And it sounded
He would
fancy.
get up late at night and go down to the kitchens in his castle here in California. Hearst Castle.
We've been,
have, Welsh rarebit made. Supposedly he made it himself. Maybe it was the only thing he could make. I don't know.
That's funny. Now, tell me about some of the old stuff. Like, I saw in your bio mentioning something about 4,000 years old. Do you know what the oldest thing is that you've made? Or close?
So I've made some foods that are not based on recipes that are very old. I think one of the oldest, I made a dish based on archaeology from around Stonehenge. And so I made a dish based on the foods that they would have been eating.
Okay, that's cool. Right.
And then I also I recreated the last meal of Ötzi the Iceman, who was a man who was murdered in the Austrian or Italian Alps. I want to say like 4,500 BC.
I was going to say 6,000 years is what's sticking in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. So they know what he ate, the actual ingredients. The thing is, we don't know how it was cooked, because the ingredients are still in his stomach. But
funny.
How it was cooked, that's a totally different thing.
What was the meal?
Pudding of some sort. It could have been bread.
Oh, I see what you mean. They've got like starch and spices, but they're not sure what.
Yeah. So think if you took oatmeal and ate it, we would not, thousands of years later, and we find the oats in your stomach along with some other things that you might have eaten. It could be oatmeal, but it could also be an oat cake or oat bread, or it could be all these different things. So that's probably the oldest thing that I've made. The oldest recipe that I've made, and that's what's in my cookbook, is something. Well, it's several different things. There are these tablets from ancient Babylon that are recipes. They're the oldest known recipes.
Right.
And recipe being something that is actually written down.
Right.
And they're the oldest known. So most of them are stews or a sort of pie.
Right.
But we don't exactly know what the pie, that kind of word means.
Right.
The issue is, again, it doesn't give a lot of detail on how things are made.
Right.
A lot of the words also have never been translated. Or they have been translated multiple ways, and Assyriologists, who are the people who study that language, they can't decide on what it is.
Right.
So it's very much this might be
Right.
what an ancient Babylonian king ate.
Huh. No, it's funny. It might have been an England thing you were doing, but you got me thinking with this. You were talking in one of your shows about how basically you would make a shell and then you'd put the food inside, but a lot of times the shell was just for presentation. It wasn't really meant to be eaten, even though it's like a bread shell in the food, which I found fascinating because I never knew that. Of course, you could imagine presentation, but I would have never thought of it not being eaten.
So it was actually less about I mean, they would present it that way, but it was more about preservation. They're called coffins in the old texts,
Right.
where we get the word coffin for
Right.
that you put a body in, and it's usually made of hot water crust pastry, made with hot lard, and that holds it makes a really, really strong, firm kind of dough that
Right.
you can build things.
It was easy, I
It's like a
remember. It was a
construction
very,
material.
because you had me intrigued because it was an easy crust, and I went, maybe you just mixed it up and that was it, or it was just a very simple. Oh, I know. It was you were able to place it inside the mold and just push it. That's why I went. Oh, I kind of like
Yeah,
that.
it's like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
As long as it's still hot, it's like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Once it cools off, you can't work with that ever again.
Funny.
It's like, because it becomes really brittle. But so then they would put the food in there, and then they would very often, let's say they make 100 pies, but only one is going to be eaten or two are going to be eaten at that time.
Right.
The other ones could have fat put over it or gelatin put over it,
Sure.
and then put the lid to the coffin on, and it's made of pastry.
Oh.
And that is going to then be able to sit
Oh.
on a shelf in a cold room for days, sometimes weeks. It's
Yeah.
like the precursor to canning. And then you would heat it again, and
The French-
and you could eat it.
I mean, the
Very
French eat a
often,
lot of
too,
this.
It would just be
Huh.
a way to actually carry, like you would cook the food in this.
Right.
And it's because for a number of reasons, but you have to remember metal was so expensive. We think of, why wouldn't they just use a metal
Right.
tin? That is more expensive than just making one out of pastry.
Huh.
Back in the day, it was very expensive. So you might only have one or two tins, but if you had to make 50 pies,
Well, you got me thinking of it. Cause I've studied abroad in France, and I want to say I don't remember if they're terrines or what we call them. But you speak French, I know because I assume because you say things very well in your show whenever you have French words come up. But
I pronounce French.
you pronounce French extremely well, yes. But what has surprised me, what you got me thinking of though is I think they're called terrines. I'm forgetting in French, but it's almost like a pâté or something. But it's inside bread. It's bread. It could be in a bread. Bread pan that you would cook like pumpkin bread or something, and you've got a crust around it, but then there's often the fat layer on top. They pour a layer of fat, and or not even fat. It's like it's gelatin. But I never thought of whether that was meant for originally, whether that was all a storage idea. I mean, from what you're describing, it sounds like it was. Yeah. Now, some people are Gunther, who's one of our regulars. Gunther, who usually asks crazy things, but Gunther's being polite tonight. What's the biggest misconception people have about ancient food? Well, that's a hard one.
Where can you see questions?
Well, he's on YouTube.
I don't know how to work this.
He's on YouTube. Now here people are. You can see people commenting on the bottom. I assume on the bottom of your screen. No.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And
Seeing them now.
And if you touch the left of the screen and scroll right, it may even put them all along. It'll move all the questions to almost supplant us, so you can look at them better. So you touch the left part of the screen and push and pull it to the right. It'll put all the questions really
There it
big,
is. That's so
or the
cool.
comments. Yeah.
Oh,
I did.
rather than looking at myself.
I see. Well, that's the only thing. You can't see yourself. Like if you get gifts, it can be hard because you don't always see the gifts. Like I like to thank people when they do the gifts, but it's nice because like there you go. But
Somebody asked about the placenta. The cheesecake I was talking about was the pumpkin cheesecake,
Right.
Not the placenta.
What was the
It's
placenta?
ancient Roman cheesecake. It is one of the earliest cheesecakes. It's basically layers of cheese and honey and trecta, which is like an early type of pasta, and it's like layered like that.
Funny.
And then baked, and it was called a placenta or placenta, and that's actually where the word placenta comes from. It's because they thought that it looked like one of these cakes.
Yum. Actually, Gunther, I liked your other question better. Has any of the dishes made you sick?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. There were a couple that I was a little worried that they would.
Right.
More often than not, it's funny because more often than not, it's not because the dish itself is going to make me sick. It's more that I cook, then I have to clean the kitchen, set up the camera differently. I go shower and everything, and so by the time I'm actually eating it, sometimes it's been sitting out for quite some time, and I'll try to remember to put it into the to the fridge or reheat it or whatever I need to do. But maybe I leave a lobster tail sitting out cooked for 2.5 hours yesterday and eat it anyway. So,
You did, okay.
But I didn't get sick. So.
He may not have gotten sick, but you looked very unhappy. You made these sake balls. And you were you were clearly not happy. You kind of tasted one and you were like, and then I got to try it again. And you were it was like we felt for you.
So, and that's one of those cases where I almost absolutely didn't make it the way that the recipe writer intended.
Right.
Because they didn't give enough information to accurately create this. So I did it. The way that I make them typically is following the recipe.
Right.
And if you're a really bad recipe writer, then that's on you.
Now tell people what
that's going to be on me when I eat it.
Tell people what the dish is. The sake balls, as I call them.
So those are the kikatsugan, which are from this text that was originally written for ninjas, essentially,
fun.
shinobi of post-feudal Japan, and they're meant to make it so you're not thirsty or hungry. Sorry, these are the hunger ones.
Yeah.
That you're not hungry for 3 days if you eat one or eat 2.
They're the elven leaves in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Lembas, the bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lembas bread, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, but it was disgusting apparently. And you were trying to figure out, he was trying to figure out how to even cook it. Do you steam it? Do you cook it in the oven? Like, because it didn't even tell you that, which was kind of fascinating too. But a Japanese person from 1,000, 2,000 years ago would have been like, what do you mean? We all know how to cook it. Yeah.
Yeah, we all know how to make this. Yeah.
What else, guys? What other questions?
There are also cases of where they leave things out very much on purpose so they can't be replicated. So, like with these were for shinobi, so maybe they didn't want to write down all of the secrets, that they had. But in the Ottoman Empire, it is very late during the empire that we start to see any kind of recipes being written down that were eaten by the Sultan, and that's because it was illegal for them to write down recipes. So
why?
Because they wanted to keep that knowledge to themselves, and that's been the case throughout history for a lot of different cultures. They don't write down what they're making in detail because it's not just the foods, but scientific things and how to build a bridge and all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, we're keeping this for our own culture and not sharing it with other city-states.
Years ago, I remember we had a family member, distant family, who we always suspected would share recipes and leave stuff out. Which is the funniest thing that you said that, because I remember we would discuss it and say, it just isn't right. And I think they might have left something out just because they didn't want us to know. Which is very funny. But what else, guys? Any questions for Max, guys? Before we got a couple minutes left. Do you try to recreate old cooking methods like hearths or clay ovens? Oh, that's a good question. When the old cooking method is old, or do you just go for modern whatever?
So, for the most part, the goal of the kitchen is the goal of the show is to use a modern kitchen. Simply because I cover thousands and thousands of years and many different
Right.
cultures.
Oh,
So I would need to have 20 different kitchens
Okay.
at the ready. But really, the goal is also to make it so you can recreate it at home, which means I'm assuming that you have a modern kitchen. Sometimes I will try to mimic an old style, like if it's using a certain type of tandoor oven or whatever, I'll actually use that kind of oven, but then put it into the modern oven rather than over an open fire or next to a hearth, because I don't have that. And that really comes out of the need to be able to. It's a practical reason.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do all of those types of cooking, but I started this channel when I was during lockdown, during COVID. So
Right.
just even getting
yeah.
access to flour was a pain in the
Yeah.
butt. So I wouldn't be able to do much.
Now, how there you see, that's another fun gift. How much of your ingredients are strange things that are kind of difficult to get, or is a lot of it still stuff that we pretty much have today?
It's not that much. What's interesting is that a lot of the foods that are hard to get and seem very, ancient, they're actually still used. It's just not they're just not used in Western cooking.
Okay.
They might be used, or rather American cooking. So I'll very often find myself at the Chinese market or the Mexican market or the French grocery store that charges a ridiculous amount for everything that they have. Just because those certain ingredients are still used in other cuisine, they're just not used. You're not going to find them at your local grocery store, but you can find them.
No, okay, and I don't want to suppose that you're getting all the recipes right, because who knows, right? I mean, we just don't know in the end, like you said, whether it's really tasting the way that they would make it, and even the ingredients, as you said, the spices could have a different potency, or who knows, right? But have you noted anything in terms of, what I want to ask you is, was food as good back then as it is now? Do you often find, or when you get to 2,000, 3,000 years, do you tend to go, I just don't like this shit? Or do you find stuff you go, yeah, this is really good?
Yes and yes. I mean, very often I'll taste something that's much older and enjoy it just as much as I would anything today.
Okay.
And I'm like, why isn't this still around? Or why did we change this recipe so much? Sometimes not. But the thing is, is it better or worse? It's different. My taste buds, while physically the same as someone from ancient Rome, are not the same because of what I grew up eating.
Okay, right.
What you grow up eating has such an immense effect on what you like. Even when it comes down to like the brand of ketchup that people like, it is almost always what they had as a kid.
Oh, that's,
and it's the same reason that a lot of people. I was talking to my friend. She leads groups of tourists, mostly from China, to different areas, and she's like, they want Chinese food, no matter where they're going.
Oh, that's funny.
Usually what they want, because that's just what they're used to.
Right.
And it's like one of the reasons I love traveling is to get to try these new foods.
Yeah.
But once in a while, it's just like,
I know.
I just want.
McDonald's. I mean, but it's often if I'm in Asia, sometimes it's McDonald's, which is the funny.
After a few weeks,
Europe less so,
it's a comfort
but
thing.
it is a
It really depends on. So I always do my best, and I am not by any means perfect at it, but I always do my best to take that into consideration to not judge things too harshly through my eyes.
True.
But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I am not good at hiding my thoughts when I eat something.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
But that's part of the.
go from my face.
But that's part of what's fun in the show is you are like the experimental rabbit, where we're kind of watching like, oh, now Max gets to try the blood thing he made, the fermented blood or whatever the hell, whatever the Greek thing was, the ancient Greek thing. It's like, yes, it's like watching some punk channel or something. I don't know what you'd call it. It's funny what you said about the food thing. Chocolate, American chocolate, and I had read about this. Maybe New York Times or somebody had written about this. The reason why like Nestle's or Hershey's, or not Nestle's, it would have been Hershey's, right? I don't, Hershey's on a s'more I think is great. Otherwise, not. I love chocolate. I do find it kind of gross, and apparently, it is not that different from European chocolate in terms of what's in it. What? Am I gonna get in trouble for a techie?
I love chocolate. Chocolate
Oh, I love
like
chocolate. Oh yeah,
my favorite
but
thing.
Hershey's though, I don't want to. Max is gonna lose a sponsor
You're
now.
saying just Hershey's specifically. I thought you meant chocolate in general.
No! Oh my God, no! Oh, you should see what I've got in my freezer. I've got multiple different kinds of chocolate chips for starters frozen. But Hershey's, they said, it is not that different from European chocolate because people think, oh, it's so much worse because the Europeans have such a higher quality and greater percentage. There's some urea or something that I think it might be urea. I remember something that I thought was kind of gross that they used originally, and it could have been preservation or something else. And of course, it was mass produced during World War II for for military guys abroad. So it had to be stable and all this kind of crap. And when they came home, they no longer needed the urea or whatever that element was they used in chocolate, and it did give it a funny flavor. They changed the recipe and modernized it like the Europeans did, and all the men who had been away to war hated the recipe because it didn't taste like what they used to have in Europe or in Asia when they were in the trenches. So Hershey's went back to the old recipe, which is why Hershey's is so crappy today. Again, melted on a s'more, it's to die for. Otherwise, I'm like, ugh. Like Hershey's Kisses.
Yeah.
You eat them, but you're kind of like, every time you eat a bite, you're like, I'm not liking this, but it's chocolate, so I'm going to have more. It's like pizza.
Part of it too is the texture, and it's because they add things to make it so it doesn't melt
Right.
at such a low temperature. There are a number of things that they do. I actually have a video planned. I don't know when it's going to come out on kind of that and the history of Hershey's and chocolate here in the United States and how it's different and everything. So I need to get that one on the books. It's interesting because that actually it happens with a lot of foods like pizza. What's really interesting with pizza is when it came to obviously they had pizza in Italy, and it was very, very different from what we in America think of as pizza.
Right.
Quite different. You can still get it there, that style. But more often when you're in Italy, the style of pizza there is actually influenced by American pizza. And that's because when pizza came over here and it was being made, it changed, namely in New York. And that style of pizza then, when people started traveling for pleasure to Italy in the 1950s and it became a big tourist destination, that style of pizza was what they expected.
Oh,
and
that's funny.
That's not what they were getting. And so Italian pizzerias started to change their style to more mimic the American style.
Oh, funny.
It is still different. It's not the exact same.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things that are common in Italian pizza now did not exist in Italy 100 years ago. It was because they were trying to please American palates.
Oh, that's funny. It's kind of, I don't know if that's good or bad. A part of me almost feels like it's kind of bad in a way, but then again, it's really good. So what the hell? I mean,
but that's been happening for thousands of years.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, that's just how
you're
food
right.
develops and everything.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever you think, oh well, this is a recipe that has not changed. It's it's passed down generation to generation. You look back even 50 years and it's like, oh no, it's actually changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Old recipes. I mean, I'm blown away with old recipes. I want to say sugar, and it sometimes makes me wonder if it's just changed somehow. But the amount of sugar sometimes in old recipes, I'm like, I love, again, and I like desserts. I always make desserts, but a cloying amount of sugar. We've even got like we make growing up in Chicago area, and Mom got the recipe in like the early 1960s from some German woman or German immigrant lady. And they're Christmas cookies, but we make the Christmas cookies, you cut them out with the old tin stamps, and you decorate them, cook them, and they're made with cream of tartar. They're very firm, and you hang them on the tree. A good 2 or 3 weeks on the tree, they're fine. I mean, literally, people always think they're gross, and I'm like, it's a dry cookie. It's literally quite good after 3 weeks. I mean, it's still fine, but if it starts to lose a little of the flavor. But the recipe, somehow the recipe changed where now you need a lot more flour than you did in the 1960s, and I have no idea why. And I don't know whether butter changed or what the hell, or flour changed. But my mom wouldn't believe me, and I finally was like, come and we're going to measure this out. And literally, it's like another cup and then some of flour you got to put in, or the dough is too slack. It's too soft.
So it could literally also simply be the brand of flour that you're using.
It just, yeah.
Or where you're baking it. Is it baked in the same location?
Well, I mean, we always did this in the south side of Chicago, and then these were the west suburbs of Chicago. But I'm talking a good cup.
Okay, but no, so
And consistently a cup.
like, but if you like go to Denver,
No,
it'll
correct.
actually be
No,
quite different.
this is
I
an
mean,
ingredient.
That's a lot of.
This is an ingredient
of
change.
flour different.
Yeah, it's an ingredient change
But,
somehow.
like,
Yeah.
And with flour, it has changed quite a bit, especially American flour, because of the actual grain, but also how it's
Dog.
how it's ground.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you use whole wheat flour instead of white flour, you
Right,
will need
right.
so much more liquid. You'll need so much less flour
Yep.
to get that same texture because, just
It
absorbs
sucks up the
more.
water.
But even
Yeah.
brand to brand, like
Yeah.
I'll use gold medal flour for something, and then I'll use Pillsbury, or
Right.
I'll use King Arthur, which is my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
And
Yep.
they're a good 20% difference sometimes in the amount of flour that you need.
Oh wow! To that now, and are you weighing your flour in grams?
I always weigh my flour. I find it is more consistent when you weigh.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I do too.
I weigh all of my ingredients.
Yeah, I do too.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Do you know why
Why?
most of the world has moved on to weighing ingredients,
Yep.
and America has not. There are other places that don't either, but America stuck with cups, and it's for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons is because when industrialization of kitchen supplies was becoming a real big thing in the late 19th and early 20th century.
Right.
In other places, they were starting to move to everybody has a set of weights in their kitchen, so they can measure everything by weight. But America was staunch with the cups,
Right.
and so they started selling the cups, and they wouldn't sell weights, so you couldn't. If you look at like old catalogs from the late 19th century,
Right.
they'll have all these different, measuring cups, but you cannot buy the weights because they made more money off of selling the cups.
Wait, because I love, like, again, for baking, I will not do weight for a teaspoon. That's stupid. But for flour and stuff,
Well, yeah.
quite literally with flour.
You gotta do it.
Max knows this, but I'm always like, I'm evangelizing to other people all the time, and I'm like, if I actually weighed it. My mom didn't believe me. I weighed it and forced her. She wouldn't believe me. And Mom was a good cook, but wouldn't believe me. And it was about 15% more flour if you scoop the cup and pull it up. It's 15% more flour in there than if you lighten it with a spoon and then pour it into the cup and then even it out. Now, one way I did see that people do it, which was interesting, is that you can. One way people say is to just fluff the flour with your spoon enough, and then if you put the cup in, supposedly it's not as bad. I've been told.
It is not as bad. So, the proper way to do it, and if you look at old cookbooks, when they started using cups that were standardized measuring cups, this is like Fannie Farmer, so the 1890s,
Right.
They tell you how to use a measuring cup, and it is to fluff the
Oh, they
flour
do?
in
Oh.
the container, and never scoop, but take a spoon and spoon it in,
Oh.
and then level it off.
So,
because if you scoop it,
Yes.
you're going to have so much more flour.
But I'm
than you need
fascinated
to
even
compact.
back then. Even back then, they were telling you to do that. That's it. Because I didn't learn that until, when I was a kid baking, even young 20s, nobody had told me to, no, pour it into your cup and then, or scoop it in here. And then no one had told me that, and only because I'm so into baking, and especially things like bread, although bread, it's still fungible how much flour goes in, but cookies, certainly, you do want to get the amount of flour right. And I love cookies.
It's crazy.
You know. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, Matt, I'm gonna let you. This has been an hour, so this has been your first live. This is how it goes. Although I will say, during our lives, we get more crazy people. So you guys have been great. Thank you. The mods didn't have to probably ban. Maybe I don't even know whether the mods had to ban anybody today. When we're talking about Iran, it's a little crazier.
A little different than when you're talking recipes.
But yeah, no. So it's very cool. So
how do you tell how many people are
on mine at least, like right now, 354 people are watching. So if you look at the top of the screen, maybe on the right, is the number 346 showing? 345? Nope. It's not showing on your side. That's fascinating. It should be at the top of the screen on the right. Yeah.
I have one that says 49 and then one that says 28,000. I'm guessing it's the 49.
Yeah. You know, what I'm guessing is happening is it may be showing you how many of your people are watching versus showing me how many of my people are watching. You know what I mean? It may be showing me that I've got 349 of my people. My people are more used to doing these, so they're here. Yours, this is the first time ever, so they didn't know. You can also afterwards go into your settings and see how many overall people watched, you know, where they're from, it's in it, or where countries. It's sort of interesting to see. But when you do it more regularly, also when I have guests, I get fewer people. I swear to God, TikTok's algorithm punishes me. When I do a show on my own, nowadays we easily get 2,000 people at a time watching. And again, I've got more than you, but not that much more. I've got like 800,000 followers. You've got 500,000, so it's in the same ballpark. But TikTok is so crazy. You never know with TikTok, though. I mean, you know, I'd be actually very curious with YouTube if you ever went live on YouTube. You never do go live on YouTube either, do you?
Not since 2020, I believe, is the last time that I went live on YouTube.
Because I'd be curious with how you got so many followers, what that would be like as far as whether you'd get a massive number or whether, again, it depends kind of if your followers are online to even know that you're there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it works. No, it's fun though. It's
maybe try it again.
Give it a try, but it's kind of, I mean, it's another thing to do. You know, we talked about that. Like, you don't want to have too many different things you got to do, but it's a nice way to connect with people, and I think it builds up. You know, it's nice. I mean, you sort of, I would say, build up a fan base, but it's a nice way to sort of have a more personal connection with the people following you. Which can I totally forgot to say. So tell people where they can find you, TikTok and elsewhere, YouTube especially, but also tell them about the cookbook that's already out and the new one that's coming out, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, so Tasting History, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, tastinghistory.com. And then the cookbook is called Tasting History, available everywhere. My next cookbook is Tasting History, a recipe for disaster, and it's all recipes that have to do with disasters. But that doesn't come out for a year, so...
Oh, that sounds fun, though. So is it like Pompeii, Titanic? I mean, or no?
Pompeii, Titanic, but it's not just disasters, it's also different conflicts, like the Reformation and the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
The Great Molasses Flood, the Jonesboro Flood.
Oh, Jonesboro. Here's how you make grape Kool-Aid. That might be a little too much for your publisher. That's very funny, actually, Jonestown. Kool-Aid. It's not just for kids. Anyway, yeah, you guys can Google it. It's a very old thing, like 1980 maybe, but a bunch of religious zealots or political zealots killed themselves with Kool-Aid. I mean, poisoned Kool-Aid, cyanide, but it was very bad. We shouldn't be laughing, but I guess it's been long enough. It's been 50 years.
And technically, so Kool-Aid takes umbrage with that because everybody was saying that it was Kool-Aid. It was actually Flavor-Aid.
Oh!
And,
get out!
And Kool-Aid did like a whole campaign. To say it wasn't our drink.
Well,
but honestly, if you add, I think it was, I don't know if it was cyanide or what, but if you add it to any drink, it will kill you. So.
That's actually kind of horrible for Kool-Aid, because immediately I thought Kool-Aid, because I remember it being Kool-Aid, grape Kool-Aid. Wow, what a fascinating study, though. That's like a Harvard Business School study. Like the idea of what does a brand do when one of the most famous tragedies in the world, scandals, gets associated mistakenly with your brand, and then, and I doubt Drink the Kool-Aid came from that, but maybe it did. When you say somebody drank the Kool-Aid, the expression, right?
Oh yes, no, that's exactly where it comes from.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
because
funny.
It's basically they were a cult, and so
Yeah.
drinking the Kool-Aid. While they gave it to some children,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
that were they didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
Most of the people who drank it knew what it was going to do.
Because
to
they drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah.
knew it was going to kill them, and so they drank the Kool-Aid. They were all in on the cult. I think that we probably have some very modern.
Oops.
Sorry,
Sorry, Kool-Aid.
same type of thing. Hopefully not actually drinking Kool-Aid though.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, and on that happy note, at least this brings us back a little closer to our war theme we normally talk about. We did end up talking about mass murder. It gets us close to Ukraine and Iran, so, we're there. All right, Max, thank you for joining us. It does allow me to download videos. I'm going to attempt to maybe put the video on YouTube, but it's never a very, let's see, downloading from TikTok is never easy, and then you've got like a 5 gig video. It lets you download the videos afterwards, but it takes an hour, so it doesn't really work. And then they're like 5 gigs, and you can't get them off of your iPad. It's, God bless TikTok, but yeah. In any case.
I'll leave that to you.
Leave it to that.
I don't know how to do it. So.
All right, thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Good luck. Everybody go Tasting History. Find Max everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, etc. All right, have a good night. See you, Max. Thank you. I'll hang a minute, guys. There we go. Well, that was actually a lot of fun. You guys over there, I apologize, YouTube and everybody, Substack and everybody, because it would have been a lot more fun if you could have seen Max, but I am able to download the video, so I'm going to try to upload it elsewhere. I could even put it on Substack, too. I'm going to try. Let's see. TikTok is never easy to download these things, but I'm going to try. He is a load of fun. I'm glad. I talked to him the other day, and we had a lot of fun talking, so I knew this was going to be fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was certainly probably the most fun. Well, the most fun guest I've ever had was on my podcast, which was Dan Savage. Dan Savage had me in hysterics the entire time. The other guys that are funny as hell are the Midas Touch brothers, which I've got to get them again too. They were on my podcast. They had me laughing for an hour. So we've got to get them too. They were big back then. They're bigger now. But I'm going to reach out to them again because they're so much fun. But that was fun. Yeah, that was really interesting. So I really enjoyed that. So hope you guys liked it. Thank you. Yeah, so thanks for joining us, guys. Actually, we're almost at our regular closing time anyway, 7:15. So perfect timing. I felt bad because I kept slipping the dog food as we're talking, and I'm like, you guys know what I'm doing when I go down like this. I'm like, to Max, he's probably like, what the hell is he doing in the middle of talking to me? He's bending down. That would be the dog. The rest of you know it's the dog. But yes, the sunset. Yeah, the sun. It's not really pretty. Actually, we had some nice thunderstorms happening too. Like the clouds are doing kind of a fun thing out there. Anyway, have a very good night, guys. That was very fun. Good. I'm glad you guys liked it. I thought that was quite fun. So I'm glad. I'm going to try to download it, like we said, and I'll try uploading it on YouTube and Substack and all. So we'll give it a try. But anyway, maybe even TikTok. TikTok, I think I can load something that's up to an hour. I think. Let me see. I may see if I can do that too. He's a lot of fun. Yeah, like I said, he's a very interesting guy. So. All right. Yeah, and much better perhaps than the war news. It's funny. All day I was like going through the news doing clippings until I remembered. I was like, oh shit, I got Max today. I'm not doing a show today. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to get going. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll have the regular show tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time. We'll do the latest from Ukraine and Iran and everything else. But for now, I will say sayonara. Discord, have a good evening. But I am curious to talk to the mods later and find out how easy or hard that was. Like whether compared to our usual, there were no trolls. I'm guessing maybe there weren't. All right, so YouTube and Substack, I will see you guys. Bam.